morning, my YouTube viewers. Up early, 4:47 a.m. on the way to the gym, trying to get it done. We are going to hit this lift, and then we're going to work some overtime at the recruit school. So I try to get this lift over so I don't have to do it afterwards. A couple reasons why. I typically work out with them, so I don't want to work out with them and then go straight into a lift. And then also, well, that's the main reason. But then also, if I waited till afterwards, I probably wouldn't be lifting until like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. Not a huge deal, but got up at 4, get it done so I can have a good quality lift and then go do what I need to do for the rest of the day. So that's the plan. Today's going to be a little bit more of like a bodybuilding style lift, not really doing heavy like compound movements. We're going to do legs and back and some arms together, just doing like supersets. Gonna do a pretty quick lift, shooting for about an hour because I have to be at the training center in a little under 2 hours. So, but that's what it is, right? Plan for success on the way. I'll see you guys in here. All right, back at it with the lift voiceovers. I think I'm going to start doing a whole lot more of these. So this is the second lower body day of my training week here. Last video, I know we saw some of the lower body training portion in that video too. So today's lift is lower body and some back work, more of a bodybuilding style work, hypertrophy based workout today. We started off with these Bulgarian split squats again on this power squat machine. This thing is a beast. I know I talked about it in the last video. I again saw this machine several years ago, finally found a local gym that has one. So, I mean, you can do tons of different variations with this. You don't have to just do squats, but we're doing single leg split squats, doing 12 on each side. 4 sets of this. Everything today was supersetted, pretty much 4x4. I did legs and back because I don't necessarily usually don't do just a back focused lift throughout the week. Usually I'll incorporate my back with, as you're seeing here, lower body, and a lot of my back work will come from doing my upper body days too. So just getting a little bit extra back work in. I didn't do a ton this week. One upper body day, I didn't really do any of it. So just needed to get a little bit more volume in for the back today. Supersetting the split squats with just some lat pull downs here. We were going for 15 reps. So 12 on the split squats, 15 on the lat pull downs, and pretty straightforward movement here. One cue that you can kind of think of is kind of rolling your shoulders back, engaging your upper back before you actually make the pull, if that makes sense. You could see me doing it there. And after that superset, we moved into leg press. We were grinding out 4 rounds of this too. I typically, again, will do squats, more like compound movements, and then do these as my accessories days or accessory moves to like deadlifting and squatting. But leg press, pretty straightforward machine. You could make some amazing gains. I know several people that I have previously worked out with that aren't comfortable squatting, doing barbell squats. So a leg press is a great variation to that. Obviously, there's no stress or strain on your back. And, lower your feet are, you're kind of targeting more quads. If you bring your feet up a little bit higher, you'll probably engage your glutes and hamstrings a little bit more. So trying to get a good quad pump. We do get some hamstrings in here today too, but I'm not going to lie, my hamstrings are a little bit fried from our first lower body day, but nonetheless, we still got some more hammies in. So next move, chest supported rows. I love these things. This morning I went with 3 plates, and I was like, nah, screw that. We're going to drop it back down to 2 and just get, I think we were doing sets of 8. So a good amount of volume this morning, pretty much in everything. Barbell rows, I know some people, it can kind of hurt their back. So if you have a chest supported row, use that thing. You can typically load it up a little bit heavier. And I mean, no shame in using straps, like wrist straps, to grip it too. 9 times out of 10, when I'm doing a movement like that, my grip is the first thing that goes, not necessarily my back muscles. But doing some hip thrusts here. I don't do enough of these by any means. I know some people think they're silly, but it is a great way to target your glutes. I'm not going super heavy here just because I'm not, I guess, super efficient in the movement. But I do want to start incorporating these some more too. I mean, not necessarily the pump, but the muscle activation that you feel when you do those hip thrusts. I mean, you can just feel the muscles that you're targeting. Hamstring curls here. I know we just did these the other day. I was going to do some GHDs today, but I'm going to give my hamstrings a break. I know my left hamstring, you can't really tell, but my left one does feel slightly tweaked, so we kept these pretty light, keeping them controlled, going slow. So I'm going to give the left one a little bit of a break. I know when I was running this morning too, I could feel a little strain in there, a little stress in there. So gotta keep them babies, keep them primed up. Can't sacrifice the runs. So, yep, lat pullovers. Another great exercise for your back. The only thing with this one is next time I might try to do it with a resistance band, because this tower here, like the cable tower that I'm using, is not super tall. I actually had to step out a good bit. I typically like where I'm a little bit closer to the tower itself, and I'm almost pulling it down a little bit more vertically for my lats. Still felt good, but I might have to use a resistance band next time. Lift is complete, 6:15 a.m. About to head over to the training center now, get it in with these recruits. A point I want to make, if you're serious about changing, getting healthier, you have a busy schedule, work a 9 to 5, work Monday through Friday. Number one, I'm sorry for you. I feel bad for you. Number two, your priority should be efficiency, right? If you have kids, you have all these, if you work 2 jobs, if you're a student, you have responsibilities, everyone does. But efficiency, I always find at least 1 or 2 days a week to make sure that 3-4 days from that day, I'm able to get my training done, to get to work on time, to make it out here to the training center, to get exercise in for my dogs, to do whatever I need to do for that day. I make sure that several days before that day comes, I'm prepared for that day. So always have a plan. Right here, the topic is meal prepping. I'm sitting in the parking lot at the gym. No, it's not always pretty. They're not the prettiest meals, but they're available, they're ready, and they're done. We have 4 whole eggs, some spinach right here. Then we have 2 of these whole grain bagel thins with turkey on them. And then we have blueberries and apples. Delicious either way, but I mean, some of my coworkers say, oh, you're gonna eat cold eggs. Well, yeah, I'm going to eat cold eggs because I'll sacrifice the warmth of the eggs to have the nutritional value and not eat French toast drowned in maple syrup. So, just something I wanted to talk about. Efficiency. Have a plan. Your results will come sooner. You'll have quality workouts. You'll feel better throughout your day. So, have a plan.
Getting some miles in with the pups. Here we are getting it in. Some trail action now. So we did 1 mile walk with the dogs as a warm-up, just out on the road through the neighborhood. We did a 2 mile run with them, and now we are wrapping up with probably like 1.5 miles of trails back to the neighborhood. So this little trail that I'm on is right behind the middle school here. So we live, I mean, literally a minute walk from the high school and the middle school, and this trail is like a cross-country trail for the cross-country team. But we come out here all the time, actually in the winter time when it snows and it's chilly out here. It's beautiful. It's a decent trail, lots of incline, decline, roots, all that type of stuff. It's kind of nice to get off of the road and mix it up. Sometimes I'll run on here. It is only about 1 mile long, but if we run it one way and then run it the other way and back and forth, so that's kind of how I get several miles on this trail. But yeah, so as far as running with the dogs and everything, right now, these next couple days, it is like really low 60s. I mean, even this morning when I had left the gym, it was like 55 degrees. So it's a little cooler this week. And when it's a little cooler like that, I'll take the dogs on these longer, hour and a half walk / run / hikes, because it's not extremely hot for them. When it is super hot, like it's been in the 90s and stuff, I try to stay much closer to home so that we have water, so that they have water and they can cool down in the shade, and they have their pool and stuff. So this is really nice. Looks like fall is definitely coming, and I cannot wait. So another thing with the dogs, I know you probably saw me running. Mila, come here. She got tangled up. You probably saw me running off the side of the road a little bit there. I've torn my dog's paws up, doing 4 or 5 mile runs on the pavement or concrete, and just feel bad for them. So I try to limit, if there's grass or something accessible next to the road, or if we're on a certain path and there's some softer terrain to the side, I try to run on that with them a little bit so it's a little easier on their paws. But they love coming out here. I love coming out here. I love incorporating them into some of my runs. Now, no, I'm not running at a 7-minute pace with them. Sometimes I will, but like just earlier we were running probably like an 8:45, 9-minute pace for those 2 miles. So that is what we did. We also got, sorry, I'm getting tangled up here. Mila, back up. Back up. See, you're probably wondering, why don't you just let them go? And sometimes I do. Oh, I almost busted my ass. But sometimes I do let them go. But in the summertime, when you can't see through the tree lines and you can't look in front of you and see because of all the leaves, it's hard to know what animal is there. And no, I'm not scared, but if there's a deer or a bear or something, Enzo is probably going to go chase it, and so will she. And I'm definitely not in the mood to go chase them down while they're chasing an animal. But in the fall and in the winter, you can see straight through all of this, so it's a little bit different, and a little bit less to worry about. So this morning we did 3 miles with the recruits. We did a 3 mile run. It's about 2.5 miles of running, and then there is a hill that we do hill sprints at. I would say it's probably somewhere between 60 and 70 yards. It's pretty much incline all the way, and the incline is even greater the further you go on it, and we did that 5 times. So all in all, it was about 3 miles with 5, I guess, hill sprints, or not necessarily sprints, but just running up the hill, 5 rounds of that too. So got those 3 miles in, just got 2 miles in with them, and then 3 miles of walking on top of those running miles that I've done. A good point here I kind of want to discuss too is, if someone watches this video and they're not very good at running, or they don't know where to start running, you know, don't be afraid to kind of do what I'm doing right now with my dogs by doing like run walks. So you can, you know, start with a mile warm up of walking, and then you can run a mile, and then you can walk a mile, and then you can run a mile until you get to the point where you're comfortable enough to run, you know, several miles straight. Or walk a mile, warm up, run 2 miles, and then walk a mile, something like that. Walking is great exercise, especially incline walking. Even I myself will do, you know, 20-30 minute incline walks in the garage or at work. Sometimes I'll do them when I'm, you know, not in the mood to run, or if I've already ran that day and want to get a little bit more cardio in. Or like, for example, rucking. Rucking is a phenomenal exercise, but walking is great for you. I know if you follow any sort of like, keep up to date with any sort of fitness, bodybuilding, I mean, a lot of us know that bodybuilders, their primary source of cardio is just walking on the treadmill or walking out on the road. I don't know how many day in the life bodybuilding videos I've watched, and their cardio is, you know, 30 minutes or an hour of walking in the neighborhood that morning. So it is great for you. Just remember, any sort of movement is better than none. So if you don't know how to start running, start by walking, incorporating some runs in there, and you will get better at it. So we're gonna finish this up, get home, and I will catch you guys there. Back home from our adventure time, baby. Got 5 miles in with them, 2 miles running, 3 miles walking. A mile and a half of that with some trails. So I'm gonna wrap this video up pretty early. Got a busy evening, go back to work tomorrow. We're gonna try to get some training at the station for tomorrow. So pretty solid last couple days of training. Now, when I say my training week, it's not necessarily that it doesn't start on a Monday. So when I say I've already ran like 30 plus miles, 2 upper body days, 2 lower body days, 1 CrossFit style day, a bodybuilding style day, I don't mean I've done all that since yesterday, because today's Tuesday, so I didn't do all that, you know, from yesterday to today. My training week is usually 7 to 9 days, depending on how work goes, and that doesn't always start on the same exact day. So just reference for future videos, if I say something and you're watching the video on a Wednesday and I say I've ran 40 miles this week, you know, I didn't run 40 miles between Monday and Wednesday. But just something there I wanted to mention. So we're having a kind of carb heavier meal right now. Got our training in for the day. Probably do some mobility stretching work later this evening once I get back home, and then get after it tomorrow at work. Try to get to bed early and be ready for work. So we are having some avocado toast with goat cheese and everything but the bagel seasoning. And then we're having oatmeal, banana, scoop of protein, cinnamon, sugar-free maple syrup. Amazing. And yeah. So we're gonna put this down. It's like a late breakfast snack, I guess you could say. So, yep, just wrap up the video. Again, if you don't know where to start with running, start slow, start little and slow, low mileage, slow heart rate, and you will build upon that. Don't be afraid to walk, get out there, move. I even walk now, walk with the dogs, go on walks with my wife, walk after meals, that type of thing for digestion. So don't be afraid to get moving. It will only help. So hope everyone has a great week. We will see you in the next one.